Today we are going to discuss a really incredible story. The story is an entwined story with my own first UFO encounter and the Kaikoura event that happened in 1978, in December of 1978. Let's start off with those TV presenters that actually went in this plane and took video footage of the UFO. So what had happened was somebody had spotted these UFOs. Some of them were spotted in Blenheim, and some were, they said on this documentary, Upper Hutt, which is just at the bottom of the North Island near Wellington, and Blenheim's at the top of the South Island. And then also they had quite a few people who was seeing them spotted in Kaikoura. It was also showing up on the radar. So they jumped in this aeroplane, these reporters, TV reporters jumped in this aeroplane, decided, they'll go see for themselves if they can see anything. And when they got there, they actually did video these orange balls of light. But what people had seen before, especially at Kaikoura, was these blue balls of light. There was two or three of them coming in, and they had like a light coming from them as if they were scanning the ground and looking for something.
In the area at the time were two Argosy aircraft on their normal night freight runs. The puzzled radar operators called them up and asked them to keep a lookout for any unusual lights. Over the next 2 hours, both Argosies flew along the Kaikoura coast, and both crews were astounded by what they saw.
Range 30 miles is a large target. This one tracked out from Wellington. We saw it first of all 30 miles out from Wellington. It tracked out to 60 miles and remained stationary for about 3/4 of an hour and has now moved about 20 miles to the west.
We have a bright red glowing light up to our 10 o'clock position. Hard to say what range it is, but it's definitely airborne.
Jackpot. The southbound Argosy has seen a big red thing.
My God.
And then when the TV reporter came with his plane, they took actual footage of this orange ball of light. So obviously this UFO could change color. They ended up having enough footage, and so they decided to go back to Christchurch, and this UFO followed them. They said nearly to Christchurch. Now, the crazy thing was, same time I was 11 years old, in my bedroom in Kaipoi. Kaipoi is just north of Christchurch. So that goes with the fact that this UFO followed the plane almost back to Christchurch. It could have stopped in Kaipoi. I saw, when I was in bed, this orange ball of light outside my bedroom window, and it was just staying there still as. I thought at one stage maybe it was a traffic light or something, because we were fairly close to the highway. But when I looked up out my window, I noticed it was way too high up to be that. The highway was way lower, and this light ball of light was way bigger. It was kind of like, I would say, about a quarter the size of the moon, of a full moon. So it was just sitting there. And I stared at it. It felt like for ages. And I did get a telepathic channeling or something. Words in my head speaking, "Oh, yay, we've found her. We've found you." And I remember thinking, who am I? I'm nobody. I was a child that could feel so much that I was constantly crying because I could feel when someone was upset with me. I was always trying to people please, do the best for everybody else, lots of love for everyone, and just feel miserable. And I really didn't feel like I was anyone worthy of anything, especially of some UFO craft or anything abnormal like that to be presenting itself. But I had, when I was younger, I had seen things that others couldn't see. My mum had shut it down. She didn't like that I saw things because she used to see things and she shut it down with her. She's quite a powerful woman. So she just, if you're in my house, no, that's not going to be done. And I didn't really get much, see much as in visions and things outside of me, not in my head. These are like I would wake up and actually see things, people, beings, different things, all objects, all sorts of things. But that didn't really start till I left home because the first vision I had, my mum kind of shut it down. So I had these extraordinary events had happened, but never a UFO. This was my very, very first UFO encounter. Anyway, I was sitting in my bed staring at this thing for ages, and all of a sudden it just shot off towards the sea. And I just was in sheer fright. Like I just got such a fright. I ended up just staying in my bed, holding the covers over my face, and I did not move an inch. I was just in so much fear. I remember sweating profusely, and I didn't even want to move one finger. I was so scared. Then it would have been, I don't know, maybe half an hour to an hour later. My father walked in my bedroom. Now, my father never came into my bedroom before, and he'd never come into my bedroom after. And I had actually asked him, he said he'd never ever gone in my room. And there was a reason for that. There's a reason why he never walked into the girls' bedrooms, ever, ever, ever. So that I know this was not my father, but at the time, I felt like it was my father. That's what I saw. And I believe now that this was one of these beings trying to calm me down. And I feel he had a father energy. So maybe somebody that I knew from Pleiades. And he sat on my bed, and I'm pretty sure, if I can remember right, he held my hand and just calmed me down. I can't remember him saying anything. And then he just got up and walked out. And I was feeling a lot calmer because I was like, oh, at least Dad's come to, help me and calm me down, and I feel safe. So that actually did help. But I did ask him, a few days later, and he said he'd never come into my bedroom. So I don't believe it was my father. If I feel into it now and I look back, I see a gray-haired man, white hair, yeah, just clean shaven. And I always see them wearing white clothes. And I had, when I was little, walked down the street and bumped into a man that had white clothes on. I didn't know who he was, but he gave me some money, he gave me a coin, and then he just walked off. And I remember turning around and he was gone. So I do believe, I even remember feeling I'm looked after, I'm watched, or I'm looked after. Now, someone came up with a question. They said, why would they be searching with searchlights if they're telepathic, right? And this is what I channeled through. When they came in 1978, they didn't have any connection with me being like I was born in this body, right? And maybe there was others as well. I'm not saying I'm the only one, but I can only come from my own point of view in what I channeled through that they'd found me and that sort of stuff. This is what I felt them saying now when I channel this through. They're saying they didn't have a connection to me. My third eye wasn't open. I didn't have any telepathic kind of communication. Yes, they could put in a voice, like communicate with me, but I didn't know it was I didn't associate it with them. And they wanted to show up. They actually wanted to physically show up outside my bedroom because they had work to do with me. Because later on, I was found on the roof of the house and all sorts of things started to happen with me after that. So there was work that they were doing. And they wanted to actually show up outside of my bedroom window. So they actually had to physically find the house that I was living in. But they knew I was in around the South Island of the top half of South Island, and they knew that I lived. They could have sensed. I'm feeling they sensed that there was Blenheim was part of it as well. So they started off with Blenheim and worked their way down, because now my parents live in Blenheim, right? We didn't know back in 1978 if they'd live in Blenheim. So I feel like they were literally searching for a physical home. They didn't have any connection with me as such till the fact when they found me. Then they took me into the ships and they cleaned my pineal gland. They cleared me so that I could become or learn to become a channeler as I was growing older. And they constantly took me up every so often, every so many years, and cleaned my pineal gland, because we were drinking fluoride water. We were drinking things that was dulling our pineal gland down. Now I don't drink fluoride water if I can help it. So yeah, I think that they were actually physically searching for a actual house, and for them, they had to physically search for it. But once they had that connection, and they resonated with this new vibration that I was in, because I had been born again from them, coming straight from Pleiades, that new vibration was entangled with them. Then they remembered that vibration. It would be a lot more easier contact, to be able to telepathically communicate with me from then on. And then I had to, then it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I actually fully understood that I was actually channeling, when they led me to digging up a gold bracelet at the beach. And that was an extraordinary event that I've told, that story about, where this voice was in my head telling me where to dig and everything. And I dug up, 3 inches into the sand. I got a solid gold bracelet worth about $1,000. And I was like, okay, I've got to listen to this voice, this channel advice and stuff like that, because I was being prepped for channeling, for the messages to come through from Pleiades. So in the meantime, here's my parents living in Blenheim right now, and the plane that these reporters went on is actually right round the corner. So I've taken this video shot of the plane, and I'll walk you through it. Here's a sign that they have about this UFO encounter, and I'll walk you around the plane. We'll go up the stairs. Inside, they have created a slideshow, because it used to be a bomber plane as well. So they've created a slideshow and all that, $2 entry fee kind of thing. And there's a cafe next door. But this is what the inside is like at the moment. So they were really shocked as to what was going on when that UFO was being filmed. It was moving quite fast, and then it was stationary. Yeah, it wasn't normal. And they found out that it was as big as a couple of houses, and they took it to a professional videographer who said, this object is at least 500 meters away from you, even though it looks like to you it's really close because the light was so bright. But it's at least 2-story house big. It was quite a big object.
Yes, about 10,000 feet. Yeah, 2,000 feet above him. Yeah, we can see it too on radar.
And from what I remember, when I click into that, I do believe that night I was taken. They just wanted to introduce themselves, but they couldn't let me remember me actually being taken and missing time, because it was too much for my brain to take. And I would have literally fallen off this earth. Like, it just wouldn't have worked. So they had to be very cautious about what I remembered. And so they could do that. They could wipe certain memory of me being taken onto the ship and so forth. But I do remember feeling after they've cleaned something in my brain. and later on I found out about the pineal gland. So I really feel that they were clearing the space that I could communicate with them. I feel they were family. They were Pleiadians. There was others on the ship as well. that I knew of as, soul family as well, but others as in they were other beings. Acrturians are coming to light. I do have affiliation with them and have channeled them in the past. There's quite a few. Ambassador keeps coming up. The word ambassador keeps coming up.
Now approaching the Clarence River, where the highest concentration of UFOs was sighted on the morning of December the 21st.
Roger, we have that one also, and quite a good visual display at the moment.
It's showing light.
Examiners, it looks like a collection of lights.
Okay.
None of us are still reasonably bright. We can see them, but it's just about impossible to film them, because by the time the cameraman gets his focus, knows exactly where they are, they disappear again. We've just heard from Wellington radar that we've got an object about a mile behind us and it's following us. Let's hope they're friendly.
Sierra Alpha Echo, there's a strong target right in formation with you now. Could either be left or right, but your target is double its size.
They said they knew I knew something was coming because I could feel it. There was something in the air. I remember there was this feeling, something in the air. It was almost like exciting freshness. I can't explain it any other than that. Some feelings are so different that it's really hard to explain, but exciting freshness is all I could say. And yeah, so they were looking for specific souls that come straight from Pleiades to connect back with them again so that they could help me on my journey, give me indications of when I'm going wrong, when I'm going right, allowing me to go through many lessons to be able to come back to my power. It wasn't until 2010 when I had a really strong connection with them. I had a dream, and in that dream, the Pleiadians do like to come into dreams first because it keeps their energy safe, and you're in an alpha state, easy to interact with the dreams for them. They started off in this dream, and it was a man, quite a physique on him, I have to admit, and long blonde hair, kind of wavy a bit. And he was dancing with me in my dream. And then he put his forehead on my forehead and he started to chant. The first chant was Ra, and then syllables Ra. I can't remember the rest. Lu, Fa, So. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. But I do remember Ra. And Ra means sun or one, oneness, sun, solar, to come through the sun, to go into our solar system, to find planet Earth, to find me. He literally wanted to connect with me because before I was born, I had asked him at a specific moment in my life to connect with me because that would awaken me even more. And I was his teacher then. And I said, now you are to become the teacher. And so you need to help awaken me. And so he was waiting for this right moment when I was clear enough. I can remember just before that another ET scanning me in my bed. And I literally saw these like crisscross scan going over me. They were scanning me to see if I had released at least enough fear within myself to have this connection with this Pleiadian. There was all this preparation happening. Then when he did this, he talked in this syllable words, vibrations, like 5 vibrational sounds. Then he'd turn his head and then he'd speak in his language. His language was kind of like between Celtic and like an elven Egyptian talk. That's the only thing I can describe that as. And then he came back, Lunanada. I don't know, Lunanada. I'm kind of channeling through. I don't channel light language, but because I like to speak English so that you guys understand. Um, a lunar lata, a lunar lata. For some reason that word's coming in my head. Anyway, and then so he'd speak his language because he was saying he was holding the vibration to connect with me, but then he would have to have a space or a gap to come back to himself, speak his own language, then come back to me. And he did this 5 times. And as he was doing this, so it started off in the dream, but I started to awaken for real. And I was lying in my bed, and as this vibration was being activating me, my body was shaking, like literal shaking. Like my whole body was vibrating, like physically vibrating as he was going with these chants through my pineal gland or through my third eye. And then, yeah, it wasn't until I awoke, which I woke through it, then it stopped. And then I had this understanding, oh, this is the moment that you were supposed to activate me. So I was celebrating the next day because I was like, yay, I've reached that point where he actually could activate me. So that happened. And so, yeah, 1978, I had other communications with them. They had taken me up on the ship periodically, but I couldn't remember because they didn't want me to remember. They wanted me to be as grounded as possible through this. Because if I come too entangled with the UFO story, then I wouldn't be able to ground my soul now into my body because I would be going, well, I know how to visit you guys and be really present in your ships and that sort of thing. And my whole mission was to ground more of my soul, my authentic Pleiadian soul into, the last lives that I had was as a Pleiadian into this body. And then I can be that walking, masterful, awoken self as if I was on that planet, but in the here and now, for a guide, as they're saying, ambassador, for a guide for others. And this is why I'm being set up at the moment to do these live talks as well, in New York. So yeah, if you want to see me in New York, I'm going to be there in the month of April, May. Yeah, there's going to be some talks set up for that. So I'll let you guys know what's happening there. If you are in New York or around that area, then come and see me. Yeah, it'll be really good to see you guys and be in that vicinity. I just want to awaken you to your authentic true power. That's my main goal. My main mission is to awaken as many as I can to their authentic self, to your true power, to the essence of who you are, aligning you with your soul and your soul's mission, or if you even just to be here on this planet and live a beautiful, happy existence. Because we want to ground more of this utopic feeling on Earth to step into these new vibrations, and everything is going to be falling away anyway. So the other beings that are really in line with me are the Cyanians, and they are Blu-ray beings from Pleiades, and I've had much in communication with them as well. So that's another story, though. I'll leave that for another story. They also used to come to me and tell me things like I knew when I was pregnant, when I was just pregnant, and that sort of thing. I saw my daughter stand beside me. They gave an opening for her to come and visit me while I was still pregnant with her. I saw her twice standing beside my bed before she was even born. I've had so many encounters. I've had a Cherokee elder that was sent by her elders to find specific souls straight from Pleiades. And she found me in a crowd in Byron Bay. And then a year later, she pulled me out of another crowd in Byron Bay. And she remembers the energy of me because she was sent specifically to find souls like myself. She calls them the Buffalo Hearts. And I worked with her for quite a while. She held my hand and talked to me telepathically. She taught me quite a bit about the Pleiadians as well, because she's straight from there. She was born more white, and she always wondered why she was white. And her grandmother, her elder, said to her, because you have a different path, because you need to mingle with the rest of the world and be seen as that. And she also has a bit of Irish blood in her. Just seeing if there's anything else to do with the Kaikoura event that happened. But yeah, it was all meant to be. It all happened and it was perfect, and I'm supposed to talk about it now.
The mysterious lights continued to follow the plane almost all the way to Christchurch. Everyone was relieved when the Argosy finally landed in the early hours of the morning.
I'm now looking over towards the right of the aircraft, and we have an object confirmed by Wellington radar. It's been following us for quite a while. It's about 4 miles away, and it looks like a very faint star, but then it emits a very bright white and green light. I must admit, this is just a little bit frightening.
Theorise what it was?
I can't. It just appeared to be a light. It was unidentified as far as I was concerned.
In extreme slow motion because there was camera movement. And when we slowed it down, it was exciting.
We looked at that very closely, and it was just rising excitement.
Good evening. I'm Quentin Fogarty. The film you've just seen was shot from the cabin of an aircraft early Sunday morning local time.
What you have just seen, we believe, is the best documented evidence ever of an unidentified flying object. The encounter is unique because it was seen by 5 people in the cabin of that plane. It was visible on radar in both Wellington and Christchurch. It was also visible on the aircraft's own radar system. Perhaps more importantly, it was finally recorded on television film.